Hello, this is Nick from Press Games, here to give you all of the latest updates with what we've got going on. Alright, hello, this is Nick from Press Games, and I want to tell you everything that's going on. And there is quite a bit going on. It is now January 20th, 2022. The month has been flying by, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So first off, I know that there are people that are still waiting for their Stennard Courier that was supposed to ship at the end of October, and here we are, and there's still 50 people that are waiting to get their stuff. So what's going on? Well, first and foremost, there were a couple of things that needed to be reprinted. There were some things going on in my life that it's just been harder to get things done. And I did send Wide-eyed Terror second printing to the printer, and it is at the printer right now. Hopefully will be done in a couple of days. So what's different about the second printing of Wide-eyed Terror? Well, not a whole lot. The key things are that one of the things that was established in the Stennard Courier was that each NPC had a list of friendships and enmities, and so the NPC block information down here is a bit more dense because it connects the characters more to Stennard Courier Volume 1, and that information, everybody got the everybody that had the PDF of Wide-eyed Terror should have the updated PDF of Wide-eyed Terror, so everybody should have that information. And what was the other thing that expanded the rumors? Each of the NPCs had D6 rumors, and now there are D8 rumors. And the rumors have been tweaked a little in order to bring it in line with Stennard Courier, Hillwood Camp, and Cleft in the Mangled Hills. So yeah, so there's some new little tidbits in there, and once again, that information is in the PDF that was sent to everybody. So yeah, that's basically it as to what was updated between. Oh, and the embarrassment of the moon and the cloud in the first printing. The moon is over weather, and the cloud is over moonlight. And yeah, that just killed me. That sort of little detail just kills me. And so that's been fixed. So yeah, if people are interested in purchasing the second printing of Wide-eyed Terror, it is by no means essential for somebody who already owns Wide-eyed Terror. But yeah, not going to stop you. So that's what's going on there. There's going to be a second printing of Precipice of Corruption. I've got, out of those 50 people that are waiting, probably 30 of them are waiting for the Precipice of Corruption to ship with their Stennard Courier. And yeah, I've been debating whether I want to do an update like I did with Rabid Dogs and Wide-eyed Terror, and I'm leaning against no, at least not to that level. I'll probably give some more information on the NPCs, but other than that, especially because on those pages, I've got a Precipice Corruption right here. On those pages, there actually is quite a bit of blank space, and so to add a little bit more detail there, I've got yeah, I think that would be a nice little thing to do with the update. But there are no substantial issues with the Precipice of Corruption, other than there are some encounters that, if I were to do a full update, I would tweak slightly. Yeah, instead, I started work on a zine that kind of documents some of my thoughts on the Precipice of Corruption, and I'm going to talk about that more because there's more. We'll talk about more, but yeah, the Precipice of Corruption is probably only going to get a couple of lines of additional text and a update as far as the information as to what printing it was and how many copies. So minor stuff, and that should hopefully be ready to go to the printer next week. depending on how much I can get done over the next several days. And so, other than that, Stennard Courier, as I said, there's about 50 copies that need to ship. That means that we've shipped about 200 copies. And then 2 days ago, I shipped the copies that are going to Goodman Games. And so you should see that pop up in the Goodman Games web store in the next couple of weeks. So, good stuff. The other thing that is important to note with the Stennard Courier is that there are a number of people that are waiting for PDFs of things like Wide-eyed Terror, Tome of Debasement, Rabid Dogs, things that they added onto their pledge. And unfortunately, there is not a really good organizational system within Kickstarter for tracking that information, and so I need to dig in and really kind of spend a couple of hours slogging through. Some of you have all of your PDFs, and some of you do not, and it all depends on a bunch of different factors. But rest assured, I know that those PDFs are still waiting to go out to some people, and I'm going to get that taken care of as soon as I can. So next up, Protectorate of Jenulane. So that isn't supposed to ship until April, but I've been putting a lot of work into it, especially the last few days. The entire layout is blocked out, and what that means is that I've put all of the text on the pages that it's supposed to go on and started doing the formatting in order to figure out where all of the pieces of art are going to go. And I've started dropping pieces of art in. We've got 10 to 20 pieces of art for the Protectorate of Jenulane, and so it's a matter of getting those pieces dropped in and then figuring out what additional art needs we have. But that project is moving right along, and as far as I can tell right now, it seems like it is roughly on track. So fingers crossed that will ship in April as expected. So Zine Month. Normally we'd be talking about Zine Quest right now, but as many of you know, that got pushed possibly to the summer, possibly indefinitely. I don't think Kickstarter's made an official announcement. But yeah, there's a bunch of us in the RPG zine people that make RPG zines, and we all had stuff that was ready to go. And so, yeah, as far as February goes, I am still going to launch a Kickstarter for 2 zines. One is called Cleft in the Mangled Hills, and one is called Hillwood Camp. I'm actually going to throw the cover for Cleft up on the screen really quick. So that was art by Jamie Jordan. I think the cover came out great. That is not the exact placement of the text. There actually was an updated version that Hal, my business partner, had put together, and it was not a JPEG. It was a Photoshop file, and so I decided to throw the mock-up up instead. But yeah, the cover art is great. Totally excited to get Cleft out into the world. I've been running it for various groups since May, and it's a lot of fun to run. It's a lot of fun to see how people interact with it, so I'm excited about it. Hillwood Camp was something that I was trying to do originally as a release to ship alongside Stennard Courier, and it is really far along. In fact, it is almost done, and so that's very exciting as well. So both of those projects are really far along, and yeah, there's no reason to not do a Kickstarter launch in February as expected. So keep an eye out for those things. Breakdown Cleft in the Mangled Hills is another funnel adventure taking place in the region around Stennard, in a section north of Stennard called the Mangled Hills, which runs along the Old North Road. And then Hillwood Camp is also located in the vicinity of the Mangled Hills, and it is a logging camp it dates back to Tall the Woodsman, Tall Lone Cutter, dates all the way back to the second session of DCC that I ever ran, second or third, yeah, but a long time ago, and so it's exciting to finally put some of that content into a zine and get it out into the world. And Hillwood Camp, unlike Cleft, which is a zero-level funnel, Hillwood Camp is similar to Stennard Courier in that it is a location, and so it breaks down the NPCs and the logging camp itself, but it also has a number of training encounters, essentially dating back to when my friend Dante decided to run a ranger equivalent in DCC, and I created the outlier class. He wanted to go and train with somebody, and so I had him go visit Tall Lone Cutter, or at the time Tall the Woodsman, and so that idea stuck with me, the idea of being able to train with somebody there. And so I've actually written a number of it'll have 7 training encounters in order to kind of give you ways to have that transition from being a 0-level peasant to being an outlier or a ranger or whatever woodsy character class you can think of. So yeah, I'm very excited about both of those projects, and so you can look for those in February. Now, and those will be going through Kickstarter. Going into the future, we're going to look at other funding possibilities, but for those projects, they're going to go through Kickstarter because everything's in place. Everything's already been planned out. So, so real quick, I wanted to actually do something. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, is talk about stuff that I got in the mail. You know, the updates of you know, what Breaker Press is working on. You know, there is a whole culture of us that are indie game designers, and we all you know, work together, you know, support each other. And so I wanted to show you some of the cool stuff that I got. So in the last 2 weeks, I got my copy of Scions of the Computarchs from James Posnell Jr. This is the third issue 3. Yeah, so this is the third installment of his adaptation of cyberpunk type technology and thought patterns into DCC. And so this one is a patron AI, and that's kind of its focus. I got The Years Between from Aaron Creeder from Studio 9 Games, and Signs of the Computarchs is from Horse Shark Games. And I also got The Towers of Dr. Zill, also from Aaron Creeder. And then I also got Orcs, which is for the Hubris subsetting by Mike Evans. Look at that flashy cover, and yeah, this is a hefty one, and I'm really excited about this. So I will tell you that one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years, yes, of the last 10 years, was Snowpiercer, and this is basically Snowpiercer, but DCC. So yeah, I'm excited to play that. And then one last thing that I got, another thing from James Posnell Jr., is I got my Lotteria cards. Can't really see them in this light. This one's for the dog. Love the dog. But these are for the House of Red Doors. And as you may well know, House of Red Doors was a huge influence on the Protectorate of Jenulane. And so, yeah, these were something that he just released. You can order them through DriveThruRPG, and all of them have really cool art. This is probably more art that you won't be able to see. The boat, Yeah, the House of Red Doors is a fantastic adventure, and these will make it super easy to run the game, because I remember running it online a bunch of times at the beginning of the pandemic, and the way the Lotteria are set up on there is almost like they're dominoes, and it's all like one big sheet of things, and so I'm just like trying to block out images and be like, all right, you're looking at this image and this image and this image, and instead I'll just be able to, boom, hold up the card and be like, you see a tile of a dog floating in the air, which is actually something that happens. And then the last thing that I got my sweet glow-in-the-dark dice from Impact Miniatures. I've got the... which ones are these? These are the Neutral Wizard glow-in-the-dark dice, and so they are like a blue but glow-green. I've already tested them out. They are gorgeous. I don't know when I'll ever play DCC in complete darkness, but I love that they exist anyway, because why not? And then while I was at it, I also got, hey, these fire magic kind of themed dice kind of just jumped into the cart. And I don't consider myself a dice collector, but for some reason I was like, I need fire themed dice. So that's a thing that happened. So that's some of the stuff that's arrived at the mailbox, and that I'm really excited about. And you should definitely check those things out too. As I said, Impact Miniatures, Mike Evans from DIY Productions, or DIY RPG. Aaron Creeder is Studio 9 Games, and then James Posnell is Horse Shark Games. So check all of those out. All right, and I will put those links in the description. Finally, Patreon. What's going on with our Patreon page? So Patreon, things really had slowed down in November and December with a bunch of life stuff that I had going on, and trying to work on these Kickstarters. I was pretty tapped out, and then you have the holidays and all that stuff, and so it was kind of impossible to get things done. Like, a week ago, I wrote 2 pages of brand new content, and I was like, yes, I wrote 2 brand new pages of content. And those 2 pages went straight up onto the Patreon. You can, if you become a member, the latest posts were Agnamara's Roof. And Agnamara's Roof is one of the encounters that's going to be in Hillwood Camp, and it involves learning how to that 0-level peasant transitioning to being a 1st-level character, them learning their stealth skills, because the Outlier can move silently and hide in shadows, just like a thief. And it is a test to hone those skills by trying to sneak up on the lair of a very interesting animal, and we'll just leave it at that. If you think that sounds exciting, go check out the Patreon and become a member. And then the other thing that went up in the last 2 weeks was there was a player that, or I should say a judge, that was about to run Precipice of Corruption, and probably a year ago, I had recorded a video that I never posted that broke down all of the things that I would do differently now with the Precipice of Corruption, from all the times that I've played it, and all the little things that have come up over the essentially the year since I had finished writing it. And so there is a post that kind of breaks down some of the bullet points, the overview of what I would have done differently, and some of the things that are missing, like mentioning that there are 2 altar rooms that actually don't have descriptions but are pictured on the map, and they were cut for space. So little things like that. But that got me thinking, and I had started working on a short zine that is going to, I guess, flesh out the things that that I would have done differently with Precipice. So rather than, as we were talking about at the beginning of this video, instead of making a second printing of the Precipice of Corruption that has a bunch of major changes, we're just going to do little changes, and then I'll probably do this mini zine that has a bunch of stuff that's like, hey, you can try this for this encounter, or do this for this thing, in order to tweak it and see how it goes. Personally, I think that there's a few things that I've learned over time that would make the adventure a little more dynamic. So yeah, there's sometimes you look at your work and you're like, okay, that's done. I'm never gonna look at or touch that thing again. I am not one of those people. I would put out a record and the way I delivered this line in this song, I wish I had done it differently. And the nice thing about zines is you can fix those things. So yeah. I think we're at the 20-minute mark. Yeah, we're at 21 minutes. So I'm going to cut it right here. Thank you for sticking with me this long. As always, thank you for supporting Breaker Press Games. Thank you for backing the Kickstarters and supporting the Patreon. It's huge. It makes a big difference. This studio space that I record these videos from and pack your orders on this table behind me. That is made possible by the money that comes in through Patreon and through RPG. Hopefully we will get to the point where this studio space is paid for every month. So yeah, keep that in mind. Lots of great new content that is going to be coming up in the near future. I've got a million ideas that are just kind of percolating in my head, and I can't wait to get them out into the world. So with that being said, thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. This is Nick from Breaker Press Games, signing off. Have a good night. Bye.